Hello. So this is the vlog for Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 1. So I already did my video review, which was posted on Friday. That was the more like looking back on everything and discussing that whole section as a whole. And this is my volume by volume, mostly discussion. This section was a little bit harder to do every volume individual check-ins, but you'll see. But this is me just checking in after reading a chunk of the story and talking through what's happening, really honing in on every single little detail that I can in a 2-hour span. So a couple of things. I'm filming this part of the video after I posted Friday's video. So a couple of things that I've learned since that video is Progenitor Titan. Apparently that is a manga only word or term, and Founding Titan is the more fan accepted. Like, that's what everybody says, and I'm a weirdo. So I will switch to Founding Titan and stop saying Progenitor. Another phrasing that a couple people mentioned not liking is minority races, which is in the manga. The manga describes the major race being behind the wall, and then the minority races being persecuted because they couldn't be controlled by the Rice family's mind control. Apparently that was more of a manga specific thing, and the anime leaned into saying bloodlines. Just to clarify, that's the lore that the manga did, but apparently the anime switched up the wording a little bit. And finally, a few people didn't like my Rod Rice rant, which is totally fine. I mean, I love hearing other perspectives on things. There will be more ranting in this video, but it was super interesting to hear other perspectives. There were a few people that said that they felt that Rod Rice really just tried his darndest and wasn't really an antagonistic force. I certainly see him as an antagonist, and I don't like him, but I love reading other perspectives. So if anybody else in the comments wants to talk about Rod Rice and your perspective on him as a character, I would just love to read it. Anyway, we will dig into the discussions, so enjoy the vlog. Eren ate his dad. So, okay. I have read volumes 13, 14, and 15 because the formatting of season 3 changed. Instead of following it fairly loyally, season 1 did move some things around, but season 3 moved a lot of things around, and so I was advised to watch the first 5 episodes and then read the first 3 volumes. So that's what I did, and I have a lot to discuss with you. So let's just dive in. Let's just go straight to volume 13, and we'll see how much we can talk about in these 3 volumes. So it seems like the start of this season has primarily been focused on the shift in the series. It's now gone from humans versus Titans to humans versus humans on several levels. One, we're dealing with more of the inner workings of the military and the government, and seeing that humanity it's a real surprise. Humanity is corrupt, and so sometimes different ideologies, different perspectives on the correct way to move forward, different teams that humans end up on, you end up being at odds with them, and there is division and sabotage and killing that comes from that division. And it all circles back to, again, the scenes where we've been pointed to the fact that really humanity needs to band together to survive, but so much of humanity just won't do that. This is what we're seeing here, is humanity being divided and not united, even in the face of a great Titan attack. And then you have the other layer of, it's all been said at this point. It's been all but said at this point. The Titans are humans. All of the Titans are humans that have been turned Titan, and then you have the shifters, the changers, the transformers, whatever we want to call them, who can go back and forth between human and Titan form. And they're obviously human, unique in that they're not mindless Titans, they're intelligent Titans, but it's all just humans versus humans, be it inside the wall or outside the wall, as far as, the Titans, who are also humanity fighting in their own way from their own side, from their own perspective. And it's our team reeling with how to handle that. A lot of the cadets are really horrified, and they say, you know, I signed up for dealing with Titans. I signed up for killing and hunting Titans. I didn't sign up for fighting humans. I didn't sign up for killing other humans, and what that costs them, as well as others who have resolved to, yeah, this is what I have to do to save humanity. If I have to go up against more of humanity in order to save the wider humanity, I'm gonna do that. That's Levi. He's the one who says stuff like that. So it's been a lot of like kind of expanding the politics within the walls, looking at what the conflict is other than the Titans, doing more inner politics and the royalty systems that are happening. It's been more of a let's build a foundation of information here at the beginning, which admittedly has been the least interesting part of the series so far for me, though still interesting. We get some emphasis on this where they say if Wall Rose was actually breached, then humanity would kind of just devolve into this system of survival, man against man, to stay alive, or, you know, just starve and die. Everyone got a first-hand reminder. If Wall Rose really falls, they'll have 1 week of respite before men began killing each other again. I really liked this scene with Connie, where he gets his photo back after they confirm that yes, that Titan was in fact his mom, and he says, who did this? Who did this to us? I won't let them get away with it. Or if I find out, I won't let them get away with it. So Connie is starting to rise up. I think he might be getting prepped to play a bigger role and to really start fighting a little bit harder. He's been very timid and quiet up to this point, but I love him. He's a good boy. So I hope it's gonna be fine. He's gonna rise up in a good way. We found out why the Titans all die when they're cut in the same place. Even the non-intelligent ones, the ones that don't have a human in the back of their neck, they all die when they're cut in the same place. Why? And it's, you know, basic biology. Just very, very simple answer. There's a spinal cord there. You sever it, you sever their link to the brain, they die. It makes sense. I feel a little bit silly for hyperfixating on that when the answer was so simple. Okay, so then we get into the whole thing with Minister Nick. So Nick was killed. Hanji, it affected her hard. She had him hidden here under a fake name, trying to protect his identity, trying to keep him safe, and they still hunted him down, tortured him for information, and killed him. He stayed strong. He didn't give the information, but Hanji was furious. And this is where we get a really good look into what this conflict looks like and how the cadets respond to it when when Hanji and Levi torture the man in return, try to get information from him, first through physical torture and then through manipulation by pretending that the other guy surrendered the information. And the whole time the cadets are just sitting there listening in on it and saying, I didn't sign up for this. We're monsters too at this point. And there just continues to be an emphasis on the fact that these are kids that have agreed to go to war, but they were still so young. What were they, like 14, 15 when they joined up in the military? And like, this is horrors that they're having to live through pretty much in every direction. We got the flashback for Krista, or Historia. We saw how she was raised, that she was raised with her mom, and her mom did not love her, did not want her, wished she were dead, and didn't touch her, didn't talk to her, just like she lived a very isolated childhood, and when she tried to initiate affection with her mom, she ended up being hurt, and even then she was pushed away and hurt, and even then she viewed it in a positive light because she was like, my mom interacted with me, she touched me, how cool, which was just very tragic. And then when her dad did come to pick her up and bring her into the family, her mom was killed right in front of her, throat slit, right in front of this child. Yeah, it says here, she entered the training corps when she was 12. When she was 12, she entered the training corps after living a totally isolated, void of receiving physical and relation, like family relational love, probably any sort of love whatsoever displayed to her, and she enters the military under a fake name. Like, these kids are so traumatized. Like, everywhere I look at this series, these kids have been through so much. One thing that the manga did that the anime kind of skipped over or heavily condensed was Aaron's training. When they were pushing Aaron to the limits, really trying to get him to be able to harden his skin like Annie was able to do, trying to see what he's able to do, trying to push his abilities, and how each time he would become a smaller Titan, and he would, at first he was very intelligent, he had fine motor skills, he was able to build structures and communicate, though he couldn't speak because his jaw wasn't built like that. He was at least able to write notes on the ground with a stick. He was able to follow commands easily. He was very able. He was in control of himself. And then, as he continued to be pushed and to continue to transform, each time he lost more and more control. He became aggressively hungry and started eating the things that he had built. He started like having fits and what did it say? He would run wild and then run out of energy and turn back into a human. And then at one point he was writing, "I don't know how to harden myself," and then he totally lost control and he wrote, "What my father did to me." And then he was just out of it. And then Aaron had these visions of this girl. Had these visions of this girl and of his father. We once again have an emphasis on the key, on his father, and then on these memories. And when he saw this girl, he thought, "Historia? No, that's not her. Is this a memory? When is it from? I can't again, not anymore." And then he just lost it. So I know now that this is Historia's sister, and that's why he saw her and thought she looked like Historia, even though she clearly isn't. I also know that he's like, we'll get to it, hold on. I really liked this line between Erwin and, I don't remember this other guy's name, sorry. But he says, "Right now, our small world is changing. Hope or despair? Who makes that choice? Who will choose? And who will you trust?" I think that Erwin has become just a character that I'm loving every scene he's in. And then they had this big plan where they pretended that Aaron got captured, and Aaron and Krista got captured, but it was actually John again, and Armin. Poor Armin. Golly, poor kid. And then we got this scene. Okay, so Krista, as she was asleep, or Historia, had this dream of the same girl. The same girl that Aaron saw, and she's calling her sis. So this, I don't know if this actually happened. I don't know if Krista ever actually got time with her sister, or if this is only happening like in this dream reality. But she's having these interactions with her sister. She's getting actual engagement with family. She's getting love and tenderness from someone. This might be her first time of actually being able to have some sort of familial interaction that was positive. This might be the first time someone's actually invested in her. And it obviously was really significant to the sister too, because when Krista said, when I grow up, I want to be like you. And then she like burst out crying, completely lost it, because that was so meaningful to her, or because she knew that it could never happen. And then she said, "Sorry, Historia, time's up already. I want you to forget about me again until the next time we meet." And then she forgot. She said, "I want you to forget about me again." And then Krista forgot. And the girl walked away, and Krista said, "Who's that? I don't know who that is." So this is a manga-only scene, and I, for the life of me, don't understand why. Because both the scene with Aaron, where he sees this girl, and where Historia sees her sister, and then her sister says, "Sorry, time's up, forget." And then Krista forgets, and then Krista wakes up from her dream. This seems extremely important to the story. Because, one, Erwin, in the anime, he does say this, and it happens in the manga as well. He shares his theory, or rather his father's theory, that the king has wiped altered everybody's memories in the kingdom, and that explains all of the things. So when I watched the anime first, I thought, well, that seems weird. Like, I understand a child believing that, and I also understand that belief then being reinforced because his father was killed for that information, for spreading that information. So naturally you're going to think, okay, well, he probably was onto something if they were trying to silence him. Understandable. But if all you have to go off of is my dad had a theory and I don't know why, and then he was killed for thinking outside the box, but you already know that the government controls information. It's even shown later on that, you know, people go on a hot air balloon, they're killed for it. People have theories outside of what the government says our history is, they're killed for it. People disobey the government, are a part of the Rice family, killed for it. So everyone already knows that the government is controlling information, and so I don't know, it seemed like such a leap to me in the anime for him to just be like, mind erasure, memory alteration, and I'm just like, I know we're fighting monsters, I know that this is already a fantasy story, but this just seems so out of nowhere. But in the manga we have these scenes that actually display that something is happening with memories, and that Eren has access to someone else's memories, or to some sort of alternate dimension, or something that is causing them to live in this other reality that can also be removed from them on a whim. And it seems like something that's actually happening. This isn't just like Krista had a dream and then she woke up and she forgot it. It seems like something that, like, there is a dream dimension or a dream reality that is happening, that this person, her sister, is engaging with her in. And at first when I read this scene, I thought, oh, okay, so her sister, like, this person is living in another dimension, and she can reach Krista and Eren through their dreams, and now they're connected because they're connected to this person. But then by the time I got to volume 15, I see that she's a real person. She was actually a part of the Rice family. So somehow she can interact with them. She can live in this dimension with Dad, but she can still interact with them, and she's interacting with them currently in their dreams, and she's dead. So how is she doing that if she's dead? See, that's what makes me, it feels like alternate dimensions because it's being engaged with on a dreamscape. So it feels like the dreamscape is the alternate dimension. Like, when they're asleep, they're connecting to this other dimension, and being asleep is what, like, I don't know, softens the veil between the dimensions, and they can kind of walk between it if they know how. But the fact that her sister's already dead makes it feel more like a time issue, like, because she's gone, so there is no interacting with her, unless maybe she died in this dimension, but she's still alive in that dimension, and that's how they're still engaging. I guess that could work. It doesn't have to. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm still leaning towards alternate dimensions over alternate timelines because of the dreamscape thing. Or it could be nothing, and I'm gonna cut this whole section because after I get through this part of the vlog, I'm gonna realize that was all really dumb. Okay, a bunch of other political maneuvering went on, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really feel compelled to recap all the political maneuvering that went on. Like, this group went after this group, and this group had to go into hiding, and then this coup happened, and it was all engaging enough that I'm still enjoying myself, but it's not so engaging that I feel compelled to just repeat it all. So I'm just gonna move on to more points that feel important to me. Ow! Oh, I left this out in the sun and now it's way too hot. Volume 14. So I have to do this one on my iPad because I couldn't get the physical copy of this volume, so I had to read it online. One thing that I didn't notice, and maybe this is just me, you know, sometimes things go over my head, can't catch it all. One thing I didn't notice was that when Annie was captured way back in season 1 and she screamed, she cried out, and all the Titans descended on her, started eating her alive, and then she was able to go free as a human, I didn't realize that her scream was actually the same or similar to what Aaron did at the end of season 2. In other words, strictly speaking, what the royal government wants seems to be the power of Aaron's scream. So Aaron's scream and Annie's scream are being connected, which is interesting. I didn't realize that they were the same essential, because Aaron's being called the coordinate. So there is obviously something different there, but it is interesting that the connection is being drawn. And then they explain that the government wants Aaron captured under their control because they want to have another Titan eat him and become the new coordinate and gain his Titan powers so that they can use his scream for themselves. But they don't want to deal with him. They want to have one of their own have this power. So it was also revealed in this section that when a mindless Titan eats an intelligent Titan, then the mindless Titan turns intelligent. So that's what happened with Ymir when she ate Bertolt and Reiner's friend back. That was, we saw that backstory. Then in this section, it's now revealed that that's how she then became an intelligent Titan. In this volume, we also saw the torture scene that I mentioned a minute ago, and it was way more elaborate in the manga than it was in the anime. And they're basically lamenting over, like, this isn't what I signed up for, which really can't blame them for that. One line that really I thought was great was, "We're already criminals, you know. The enemies we're facing now aren't going to eat us if we don't kill them. They're enemies because they have different ideas, or maybe just because they're in a different group. Sometime soon, we might have to take people's lives for reasons like that. We're not good people anymore." And I think that does a really good job of summarizing what the internal conflict of this section of the story, at least as far as I've gotten in it, what the internal conflict that we're tackling seems to be, which is this pain that comes with having to turn on your fellow humans, with having the trauma that comes with warfare, and the fact that they are now having warfare between other humans, or at least, I mean, they always have been, because the Titans have always been human, but you know what I mean, now in a very overt way. But also that conflict of what is the right decision here. There's a lot of different positions that are presented here, and it's very rarely moralized in the story. Like the man that they're torturing, he tells them, he talks about how, you know, any diversity of thought was snuffed out. Anyone that tried to understand things differently or tried to get information outside of what we allotted to them, they were killed. And it was for the good of humanity. Look how great we are, because we snuffed them all out. It's all thanks to the MP's first squad. You should be grateful. But he also does mind games with them too, where he's telling them, oh yeah, play your sick little game. You love violence, don't you? Feels great, huh? I like it too. This is great for me too. You and me, we're the same. And it really just kind of sours their stomach to see the person that they're torturing to get information out of telling them, yeah, go for it. Enjoy it. Have fun. Go ham. And they do end up getting the information out of him by making him feel like he was abandoned by his comrade, by believing that his comrade turned on him. And so the jig was up. The information was already surrendered. And so what was the point of being tortured anymore? And he says that the true royal bloodline is the Rice family. Now, this was not a surprise to me. To me, this was the only rational conclusion after learning that Krista Historia was the illegitimate daughter of a royal family, or I'm sorry, of a noble family. My first thought, which I didn't say on camera, so I have no proof. My first thought was, sounds like a princess, because she was given the secret. Her bloodline is given the most important secret in all of humanity, and it's passed down through this bloodline, and no one else gets it. So, like, it just seemed like the foregone conclusion that she's royal blood. Now, I didn't assume that the people who were on the throne were liars. Like, I didn't think that it was like a fake royalty situation and the Rice family were actually in hiding and like all the things that happened. I didn't jump to that conclusion, but it just seemed like a princess story, right? Like, why in the world are we giving this illegitimate random noble child that's off being raised by her mother who doesn't even want her? Why are we giving her the greatest secret of all of humanity? If it's being passed down by a bloodline, then it's probably a really important bloodline, not just some noble family. So that one didn't come as a surprise to me. That was a reveal that seemed like a foregone conclusion. Oh, another really good line that I thought really kind of also honed in on what the themes of this section of the story are is, I'm sorry I don't remember the guy who's tortured. I don't remember his name. After he's delivered the message and he's broken down and he's realized that he was actually the one that ended up giving away the secret and betraying the king, he said, "The stage always needs someone in this role. When one actor leaves, another jumps in to take its place. The world will always have people like us. Break a leg, Hanji." And I thought that scene was really good. A manga-only scene that I also thought was really, really great that I'm bummed got left out is Krista, when she finds out that she is the princess, that she is a part of the royal family, that she's destined to have the throne. When she finds out about her heritage, she says, "I'm unfit for the role," and she doesn't want it. Like, she doesn't want to take it on. She refuses the mantle, and she just wants to reject it. And Levi has to do his Levi thing where he stands up, he plays the bad guy, like he has to be the tough guy, and he grabs a hold of her and basically like strong arms her into seeing this from a larger scale. And this is another part of where the manga really shows another perspective without fully moralizing it. Levi's really good about providing perspective, but also saying, I don't know what's right. I don't think that I have the only correct answer. I don't even know if I have a correct answer. I'm just trying here. And the conclusion that he's come to the best of his understanding, is to say, I want to put an end to that reoccurring nightmare right now. There are those who would get in my way, but I'm fine with playing the role of the lunatic who kills people like that. I have to be ready to rearrange some faces because I choose the hell of humans killing each other over the hell of being eaten. At least that way, all of humanity doesn't have to be damned. And he says this as it shows him being the torturer, him torturing the guy who tortured and killed Pastor Nick. And he's saying, like, I'm not happy with this role either. I don't want this. This isn't the role I want to play. But here I am playing it because at least if I turn into a monster to get this information, at least I'm saving humanity. And it always comes back to, I don't know what's right. I'm just trying here in this impossible situation. And he tells Krista, it's up to you if you're going to play a part in this or not. And then she says, the next role I have to play is queen? Fine. Leave it to me. And she looks like she's in despair as she says that. So I love this scene for Krista because it really just builds on her character. I think there's quite a few things that have been, or a couple of things that have been manga only that I think have been important for her character, in seeing a little bit more background on her, a little bit more of where she, like for her sister, that flashback from the last volume, she tells her sister, you're the one who I learned, like you're the reason I want to be a good person. So this role that she was playing that Ymir called her out on and was like, you want so badly for the world to see you as a good person, that came from her sister initially. So we got that little bit of background. And then here we see her coming out of that role and trying to be true to herself, and then foisted on her is just yet another role. Okay, I'll be a queen now. I need to be a queen for humanity. Okay, I'll be a queen. And what is that going to mean for her character? I don't know going forward, but I do think that these are pieces of her character that, at least at the point that I'm at, they seem important, and I really like her, so I'm happy to get any sort of character building we can. One thing, since I've talked so much about manga-only scenes, I'll also note that the scene where Kenny comes onto the scene and he's chasing Levi through the streets and he's killing people and he's like showing himself to be not only a member of someone that Levi raised, a member of Levi's family. Levi and Mikasa are related. They have the same last name. All of these things are revealed. And I will say, the anime version of this action, all of this happened at the end of volume 15. So it all happened 2 full volumes into into season 3, this section of the story. And it all happened at the beginning of the season for the anime, and the way this was animated, oh my goodness, the chase through the streets was phenomenal. Levi screaming out Kenny's name was amazing. So I'm really enjoying Kenny the Ripper. I'm really enjoying his introduction into the story and kind of the foil that he's playing for these characters, and I'm very much looking forward to getting more on their background and getting more from that. Final volume. It's a lot more strategizing in this final volume, so probably a little bit less to say maybe. Again, this is volume 15 that this is happening, and it was like one of the first episodes of season 3, and that's when Jean hesitates to kill the person who is in front of him, and Armin ends up shooting her instead, and then he has PTSD over this. This is his first time killing a human that he's aware of, and it's his first, like, this is the first time killing a human in human form, I'll say it that way. This is the first time that he's killed a full-blooded human just because they're on an opposing side, not because it's a monster trying to wipe out all of humanity. And this, yeah, it's wrecking him. It's tearing him apart, understandably. I loved Levi's words where he tells him, that's right, he's talking to Jean here, that's right, it was your hesitation that put us in danger. And Jean said, I'm sorry, but that was then and there, that's it. And Levi tells him, I'm not telling you what's right or wrong. I certainly don't know what is. Were you really wrong? And he also tells Armin, yeah, you did. She hesitated, you killed her. But if you had hesitated, if you hadn't done that, then Jean would have died and the rest of us would have been at risk too. You saved us by getting your hands dirty, and I'm grateful. It's just more of, I just really appreciate that the series is presenting incredibly difficult positions that these characters are put in, and rather than creating a situation where everything is just like, it just goes the best way it possibly could, creating a situation where we have everything explained to us as the perfect scenario. Instead, it's just like, this is an impossible situation and I don't have the correct answer. I just know that this is what we're living through right now. It just feels very, very human to me. I thought the scene with Jean was really good, where we have the cadets that we met, the military police members that we met from when Annie first joined the military police, and we had that really hopeful doe-eyed kid that reminds everybody of Aaron, and then we have the girl that's kind of a brat, and the doe-eyed kid, he's like, let me help you, I want to help you, and John's like, no, I'll kill you instead. And it was all a test, and he's testing him, and eventually they do actually join, so they're now going to be, I mean, well, first he's testing them and all of that, and then like he passes the test, and then Jean gets knocked over the head with a stick. But anyway, they joined, so they're now a part, they're now joining, they're with us, at least for the time being. So I'm curious to see how that's gonna go. Another quick thing that I'll mention is the coup that happened here. A lot of really great scenes, actually, with everybody rushing into action when, you know, it looked like they had the upper hand, and then everybody else rushes in. They were cornered. They got the admission out of them. You admitted everything that's happening, so now we actually have justification for dethroning the false king. We had this scene with Erwin where he's about to be carted off, and then they burst in and they're like, Wall Maria has been breached. Wall Rose has fallen. We got, when they found out that the nobles haven't counterattacked, we're free now. When they find out that the mission is a success and they're not being hunted anymore, they don't have to be in hiding anymore, and they're all celebrating. And then we got this information. This whole section here at the very end of this volume just blew my mind. Okay, so turns out the girl from the dreamscape, as I mentioned before, she is real. She's not like living in another dimension. She lives here, and she's a member of the Rice family. So we get this little background on the Rice family, on this girl, and how she would like go and visit the farmers, and she was well loved. She was considered her estate's pride and joy. And then no one in the village saw the men either, and to make matters worse, that night the entire Rice family had gathered in the chapel to pray together after the breach in the wall. The bandits massacred every member of the family except for Lord Rod Rice. So they're all in the chapel, and then they all die except for the father. And then we cut to Hanji speaking to everyone about how Eren, telling them about the mechanics of how if a mindless Titan eats an intelligent Titan, then it turns into an intelligent Titan. And Armin's first thought is, okay, well then who did Eren eat? What happens immediately after that? Like, literally, who did Eren eat? Next page, Eren is being confronted with where he wakes up, this whole cavern that he's in with the Rice family and with Kenny. And Dad tells Krista, okay, we have to touch him to activate his memories, but they're not his memories, it doesn't appear. But Krista remembers it too. She remembers where they are, and her father, Rod Rice, he says, this is your first time here, but it wouldn't be odd if you remembered it. So they're all accessing memories they don't have. They all these two, Krista and Eren, they recognize where they are, even though they've never been here before, and they can access memories of someone that they've never encountered before, and it's someone else's memories as far as I'm understanding the situation. So they touch him, and touching Eren activates these memories that are not his entirely, I don't think. And that is when they all went to the chapel. It shows a trapdoor that leads to a staircase that is underneath the chapel. And while they were underneath the chapel, we see the sister who's in the dreams, and we see, let's see, it says, what is this? These things never happened to me. So these are not his memories. And then we see a female Titan that frankly looks kind of like Krista. I think this Titan is too old to be Krista, but it could be her mom, but that's not what her mom looked like. It looks like Krista, so I'm confused. I don't really know what's going on there. But anyway, there's a female Titan. There's a second Titan there. We have two Titan arms. It looks like one Titan is trying to slaughter the Rice family, and then another Titan is trying to defend them. I think, from what I can gather, from these these little snapshots of memories, from what I can gather, it looks like Eren's dad attacked the Rice family and was trying to kill them all, and then this female Titan defended them. That's what I'm taking from it. Who is this female Titan? How could I know? But another bit of the flashing is we see the key. We see Eren with the injection that he got when he was a child. And we see him mourning. We see a Titan that is doing some sort. It looks like he's attacking. And then we see said Titan burning up, disintegrating after a human seemingly has been removed from that Titan. And Eren is, with his Titan marks, sitting over this dead body of his father. And the question is, so, now do you remember your father's sin? So I haven't watched this scene in the anime yet because the manga went beyond. So the next episode, I assume, is going to cover this. So when I watch it in the anime, maybe I'll have more clarity. But these are my thoughts, manga only. These are my thoughts. What it appears to me is happening here is I think that the Rice family, for whatever reason, went down this trapdoor in the chapel and it led them into this forest. In the forest, they encountered Eren's father, who apparently was a Titan user, was an intelligent Titan, was shifter, whatever you call those guys. Maybe also he was the control, or wait, that's not the right word for it, the coordinate. He was the coordinate? Was he the coordinate? So, I always thought that Eren's dad injected Eren with the serum that turned him Titan. But I thought that he injected him with a serum that turned him into an intelligent Titan. But I now know that what actually happens is you just get injected to become a dumb Titan, a mindless Titan, and you have to eat an intelligent Titan to turn into an intelligent Titan. I'm pretty sure I just watched Eren eat his father. So I think his dad was an intelligent Titan that attacked the Reese family. A female Titan defended them. I don't know who it was. and then and Aaron was injected with the Titan serum, and then Aaron ate his father and became the new coordinate. Did his father set him up for this? Was his dad trying to, did his dad do it on purpose? Did he give him the key and say, Aaron, when I come back, I'm going to show you what happens in the basement. Don't forget the basement. You're going to forget some things, but don't forget the basement. And then he set Aaron up to kill him? Or was it an accident? Did he not mean for Aaron to kill him? Did he mean for Aaron to kill someone in the Rice family? I guess there was probably a female Titan within the Rice family. And Krista, there's no reason for me to believe that Krista was there among them. So even though it looks like her, I don't think it was her. I think it had to have been, I mean, it's possible that it was the sister that's meeting with them in Dreamscapes, but at least in the manga, that Titan looks blonde. We'll see what she looks like in the anime. If she is a brunette, then I'm just going to assume she's the sister that's meeting with them in their dreams, because she was there that night. So it's possible that Aaron's dad it's possible that Aaron's dad, Dr. Yeager, led Aaron into the forest where the Rice family would be for some reason, injected him with the Titan serum so that he would turn Titan and then eat the member of the Rice, have I been calling them Reese? I'm sorry. A member of the Rice family, and then inherit that intelligent Titan gene. And he didn't mean to be eaten, because he did tell Aaron, when I come back, I'll show you what's in the basement. So he either set himself up to be killed by Aaron because he wanted Aaron to be the new coordinate, or it went wrong and he was trying to get Aaron to eat the Rice Titan, intelligent Titan person. Okay. I need to watch this in the anime. I bet it's super clear in the anime, and everybody that's anime only is listening to me yammer on thinking, just watch the anime, it'll all be clear. None of this rambling is entertaining to anyone. I'm gonna go watch the anime pretty much right now. I'm just gonna go watch it right now. But I'll check in with you after I watch the next 3 episodes and read the next volume. Hello, vlog clip for volume 16? So, this section of the story, it's so interesting because I do think that every section of the story has been very dense in the information that it's providing. However, I think that the previous sections also had a lot of action, also had, I don't know how to distinguish this. I guess while things have widened so much, it feels that we're finally deepening that widening, and it's more of like a quiet evolving of information, whereas previously, you know, we're gonna get an expansion on the world, okay, big giant Titan fight, expansion on the world, okay, our closest allies are betraying us left and right. And in this, there's still action for sure, but I don't know how to explain why it feels so different. Hopefully I'll have better words when I get my notes together for the review. But I also think that we are having a lot more character growth and character focus that I'm just eating up. Just loving so much. So with Krista, I'm still unfortunately reading digitally, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I just prefer reading physically, and I've gotten to do a lot of that with Attack on Titan, but I have gaps in my set. So volume 16, Krista is realizing that all this time that she thought that she was completely alone, thought that she was rejected, thought that everybody hated her just for who she was, nobody wanted her because of innately who she was born as. But it turns out that all this time she wasn't alone. She had someone that was visiting her, teaching her to read, teaching her to write, taking her on horseback rides, loving her. And each time she just had to have her memories wiped, I suppose for her protection, her name's Frida, the half-sister. I love her so much, and I have not met her in real time. I only know her through her memories, and I only know her through these quick flashes. But because I love Krista, Historia, so much, and because she was that one piece of love that she got in this world for so long. Even though Krista couldn't remember it, she still wanted to invest in her and love her and give her, I suppose, the remnants of that love. Like, Krista was raised so isolated and rejected, and just giving her that nurturing, even if she couldn't ever get the credit for it, even if she could never be recognized for it, and even if Krista still believed herself to be alone, she still had that. It's like her body still remembers, her mind still, or her experiences still remember, but like her mind can't retain that it was her. And I love her because my perception of Rod Rice is very negative at this moment. And I don't know, maybe there will be more reveals to come. Maybe later I'll see that what a nuanced character. Right now, I just don't really like the guy. Right now, I think pretty poorly of him. You know, he even, oh my goodness, I even counted. He at one point told Krista, I had 5 kids. He said that to Krista. Even as he's speaking to his daughter, and he's talking about the life that he lived, he's not even saying, I had 6 kids, 5 of which lived with me. He said, I had 5 kids, and they were all killed. So I went and got you. Like, he doesn't even to her face, he's not treating her like she's one of his. He's not treating her like she's as valuable as the rest of his children. Like, he cares about her, even minorly. She's a tool to him. That's how I'm interpreting him anyway. He sent her away, never checked on her, never looked after her, never visited her until all of his real children, the ones that he actually considered his own, until all of them were dead and he had to continue on the legacy. Then he's like, okay, well, let me go get that one. And then, even then, the way he treated her in this scene where he's, hold on, let me get to the scene. So he tells her all about the history that they're living under. Hold on, let me get back to it now. So the Titan, this great Titan, created the gigantic barriers, graced us, that is all the Titan graced us with. It wished for a life of peace for us humans who remained, so its power reached into our hearts and altered humanity's memories. A handful of bloodlines were unaffected. So, okay, so this great Titan is the one that, like, changed history. Created the walls, put certain races behind the walls, rejected other races, I guess that it couldn't manipulate and change the memory, alter the memories of. And then Frida is the one that has that Titan in it, and each person who takes on the mantle of that Titan then also takes on all the memories of the world's history and can choose to push the button, not push the button, right? Like, it's a plotline that other stories have used plenty. I love it every single time. This idea of you hold the secrets, the information that's being withheld from all of humanity to protect them, you hold it. So do you choose to distribute that information and free the people of giving them their own free will to do with this information as they will and maybe change the course of history? I assume that's the direction it's going in because that's how these plot lines usually go. Or do you withhold the information? Do you keep it? Do you continue to do what every person that has been burdened with this knowledge has done before you, and that's hold it on your own and continue to withhold this information from all of the rest of humanity? Okay, so that's her. She's the one. She's the one that now has this mantle, and therefore also has all the memories of history, as well as essentially the will of the first king. Like, the first king wanted peace, or wanted to enact peace in this way. And now, if you take on this Titan and take on their memories and take on their power of memory erasure and of being able to build out the walls and all the power that this particular Titan comes with, that only the Rice bloodline can activate in it. If you take on all of that, then you're also taking on the ideologies of like this pacifist ideology from the first king as well. So Frida did it. Frida took on the responsibility. She injected herself and then ate her uncle and took it on for herself. And imagine being like growing up and being a child. She was 15 and being told, this is the cycle of our bloodline. We take this on knowing that our life is going to be fractured. Like, our life is going to end at some point early because the next person then needs to take on this mantle, and by doing so they have to kill you. So at 15, this child is charged with, you have to take on the burden of humanity, the burden of history that's being held from everyone else. You have to take that on and all the responsibility that comes with it. And also you have to kill your uncle to get it. And you know that at some point your daughter, niece, whatever, is also going to kill you to take that mantle on themselves, and they are now going to carry that burden too. Like, imagine being a 15-year-old and being told all of that and then being like, yeah, okay, I guess this is my lot in life. Like, you're a child and you're being forced to make that kind of decision for the rest of your life, which is naturally what all of these children in this story seem to be going through, where, like, sucks for you that you're a child and your brain isn't fully developed and you have all this trauma, you live through war. Go be a child soldier. And then paralleling that, we have the whole plight with the Ackermans. The fact that the Ackermans were warriors, they were made to be, or I assume made, I don't know, but they were sanctioned, I don't know, to be the ones that protect the Rice family, and then some sort of division happened between them. The monarchy doesn't hate the Ackerman family, they fear us. The king fears the Ackermans because he cannot control us. Our clan was the royal government's sword and shield. We had a key role in ensuring humanity's continued survival. So the king, we learn through the Ackermans, the king has this ideal of one bloodline, one race that he can control. The existence of different bloodlines disrupted the king's ideal system of rule in a different way. The memories of the people from these minority bloodlines, including ours, were not affected by the king. The king's power to alter and erase memories of the past only works on members of this majority race. In other words, to complete his great work to eliminate history, the king must use other means to silence the minority bloodlines who are not affected by the power of the Titans. So two bloodlines rejected the king's philosophy, I would say his control, and turned their backs on the monarchy. And that's the Asian bloodline and the Ackerman bloodline. So I guess that's what caused the severing and the division. And we saw the prejudice against the Asian bloodline at the beginning of the series because Mikasa was one of the only Asian people, well, rather her mother was one of the only Asian people left, and Mikasa is half Asian, and there was this, like, capture them, sell them, use them in trafficking because they're this minority. So once again, we have the Ackermans who they rebelled. They didn't accept the king's way of ruling, but they also still protected the next generations by withholding information from them. Like, I'm not going to tell you what the history is. I'm not going to tell you what I know, and that will protect you. Which is a really, really interesting parallel to what's happening with the Rice family. So what I'm getting from all of this is a strong distaste for Rod, because I don't think he knows everything, because he's not the one that has taken on the memories of the world, but he is trying to pass that responsibility off to his kids, and his younger brother took it on, and then he gave it to the daughter he loved, and then when she died, he gave it to the daughter he rejected. So then the way I took this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I took this is that when he was telling Krista Historia that she needs to take on this mantle, she has to take on these memories and this responsibility, and he can't tell her all the information. Like, I can't tell you why the king... Let's see if I screenshotted that scene. Oh, right, yeah, there's that factor, too, that, like, her poor mother, who I don't know how much compassion I have because of the way she treated her, but I'll forfeit a little bit of compassion for her because she, too, was abused by Rod and was put into this horrible position by him, and he's just doing what he wants. He's just living selfishly. She thought she could become her master's wife. but he just sent her away, essentially. So, like, it's just don't like him. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Okay, so Krista asked the question that I was asking too, and I was like, hold on, this is not enough information for me to take all this on. And she says, not just Frida, in the 100 years since humanity was first trapped by the Titans, why didn't the Rice family ever get rid of the threat of the Titans and free humanity, despite having the power to control all Titans? And then she has these memories of Frida when she would try to cross the fence, and Frida would like freak out and be like, I told you not to cross the fence. Or she would like take on this whole different personality, like being possessed or something. And afterwards she would get really depressed, and there was something constantly troubling her. But it says, did she inherit the first king's ideology too? And he said, that's right. So to me, it's also like a competing personhood, almost. Like, I believe that Frida was Frida, and I believe that if Krista were to inherit the king's ideology, were to take on this mantle, all of the things that comes with taking on this Titan form, I believe that she would still be Krista, but it seems like there would also be the first king's ideology that would be in her as well, like competing to be the thing that is ruling things. So here's the thing. Rod tells her, he's like, you gotta do this. Here, take this needle, do the thing, kill your friend, take on this mantle real quick. And I can't do it. It can't be me. I can't do it. I can't tell you why, but like, it can't be me. Right now, I just don't trust him. And so I'm just like, you're a liar. Like, I don't know. Maybe Kenny believed him when Kenny was like, this guy sucks. Like, he's using you. And Rod's like, no, I totally have good reason for this. And Kenny was like, okay. And he kind of backed off. I'm not ready to back off. I'm like, I don't know. I don't believe anything you're saying. Like, you kind of suck. So anyway, the first king believed that that was the way to true peace. I don't know why. It can only be known by those that see the memories of the world. So he's trying to force this needle on her. And he's trying to tell her, like, this is awesome. This is great. This is the best thing ever. Look at Frida. She was amazing. What an icon. We love Frida. And he's not telling her that Frida actually lived a really tormented life. And she did her best to like bring peace and love into the world, but she lived this really tormented life. And he's also not telling her, until she asked the question directly, that she's going to be adopting the ideology of someone else. So even if Krista doesn't believe that the way to true peace is to not destroy the Titans and to keep humanity in the dark, she's still taking on the ideologies of the first king. So she's essentially, the way I'm interpreting this, is she's essentially forfeiting part of her free will. I still think she would be herself and she would still have some form of free will, but she's forfeiting part of her free will by taking on this mantle, because she is taking on the ideologies of the person who initially made this choice. And so I love this scene for Krista, because she listens to her dad talking about, like, if you become this, then you become a god. And applying so much pressure on this child, not really giving her the full information unless she presses him for it. I'm sorry for not explaining everything earlier, but what other choice do we have left? Yeah, I'm also sorry for neglecting you your whole life. Super sorry for leaving you in this house and never checking on you to make sure that your needs were met and you were cared for and loved on any level whatsoever. My daughter did better by you than I did. But like, super sorry about that. Now go ahead and become this godlike figure. I promise it's gonna be good for you now. And Krista, my sweet, wonderful, amazing Krista, is reflecting on the fact that I'm just gonna be controlled by the first king's ideology too. Like, I'm forfeiting part of who I am. And she remembers Ymir telling her, just like, don't be what everyone else wants you to be, just like be true to yourself. And then she smashes the vial and chucks him over her and shouts, God, what a load of bull. You're just saying whatever you can think of to manipulate me and save yourself. That's it. I've had enough. I won't let you kill me. To me, all this is coming off as control. Like, it's bid for control. And the race of people, the larger race of people that can be, their minds can be altered, their memories can be altered, they're coming behind the wall, and then, like, we're ruling by withholding information and manipulating this situation. And they have this cycle that they're trying to make Krista fall in, that Rod is trying to make Krista fall in line with, and trying to do it by withholding information from her and painting this in a different light than it truly is. And Krista is rejecting that cycle by throwing the vial on the ground, she still wants to save humanity. She still wants to work with everyone. Do I need to leave? I need to leave soon, so I'm going to try real hard to wrap this up. She still wants to try to save everyone. She still wants to do what seems best for humanity. I mean, she does say, like, screw humanity, let them all die, but you know, she was in the moment. It was a moment. She still wants to do right by people, but she's gonna do it her way. And her way is to not take on these ideologies that she doesn't even know if she would align with. You know, like, she doesn't even know if she had this knowledge prior, would she choose to take on this mantle? Would she choose to go the same route as the first king did? Or would she try to save humanity in a different way? She can't know that going in, and so she rejects taking on this role and having these ideologies impressed on her. And maybe she's going to go about it a different way, and maybe that will be what saves humanity. I'm reading a lot into it now. But maybe that could be what saves humanity, is her actually doing things her way. She says, I can't be a good girl. I don't want to be a god. They're talking about, like, the role that she tried to take on before, and then the role that her father tried to force on her. But when I see someone crying, no one, and saying that no one needs them, I want to tell them that it's not true. No matter who, no matter where, I'll come to the rescue. So this is her, I guess this is her ideology. This is what she is saying. This is who I'm choosing to be. I'm done being what everybody else wants me to be. I'm choosing this is my path, and this is how I'm going to try to help the world. I skipped over so many things trying to just get through my feelings on Rod Rice, so let me back up now and talk about some of these other things, because a lot of other stuff is going on here. So we know that Dr. Yeager, he came to steal away the power of the Rice family. So Yeager, I still don't know how to moralize him yet. Not that anyone in the series is really black or white. Like, everybody's morality is, everybody's just, like, perceiving the world from their angle and responding, which I really like. As far as, like, storytelling wise, I really like the way it's kind of handling different ideals. Anyway, so Yeager, as far as I can tell, I don't know yet. I don't know. I can't tell if he is a baddie or a goodie or something in between, but I don't think that he was, I think he must have known something of what the Rice family was doing and was trying to break that cycle too. I could be wrong, but I think there's got to be some nuance there that's going to come. Then we got to see the fight. We got to see Frida transform, and how we learned that she is the greatest of all Titans, that this power that she has is invincible, essentially, but because she was young, because she hadn't had enough time to really hone this power, she was overpowered by someone who had more time, and that was how she was defeated, which I think is a really good way of handling, obviously, this Titan form and all that comes with it is incredible. Like, obviously, the power is enormous, but I like that her being inexperienced plays a role in it. I'm just gonna put that on the screen real quick and then move on, because that, whew, what a scene. Another mention of some of the theming that I've noticed since season 1 is this idea, let's see, I don't remember his name. It's gonna irritate people that I don't remember his name, but I don't, so what are you gonna do? This guy, this whole scene, this whole conversation, and he says, someone once sang a song about how men would one day give up war, and then Erwin says people won't stop fighting each other until the human population is down to 1 or less. So it's just hearkening back to how, like, the ideal would be that we would all just band together and sing Kumbaya. Like, that's what we want. That's what humanity needs. But that's not the way humanity naturally responds in times of peace or in desperate situations. Some of humanity, absolutely, and we see that all over the series, but we also see, like, the wider picture of division and a bid for power and a bid for control, and how that just continues to fracture people to the point that they can't come together like they should, like we need to. So we got the reveal that Kenny's last name is Ackerman, Levi's last name is Ackerman, Mika's last name is Ackerman, so they're all Ackermans. And we also got the reveal about the Ackerman being able to unlock this incredible strength, which totally makes sense. That was a really exciting reveal for me, because back in the very beginning, I noticed Mikasa's incredible strength seemingly being unlocked when she was kidnapped and when Eren came to save her and he was in distress, and she crushed the handle of the knife and crushed the floorboard as she launched herself off. And there seemed to be a fixation, like it seemed to be like notable, like look at this thing that's happening, notice this. And so I wasn't sure about it. I wasn't sure if it was just like anime strength or if it was like notice this. So I kind of just kept that in the back of my head, like something's up with Mikasa. And then when Levi was revealed to be an Ackerman a bit ago, I also was like, okay, well that kind of makes sense too, because he's the prodigy cadet, right? Like he's the military person who is the one that handles everything and is a beast of physical strength. So that kind of makes sense too. And now we have Kenny, who is this legendary serial killer. And, you know, they all seem to have this incredible ability. Now my question is, since the Rice family are able to manipulate, and since it was stated that the Rice family, when they can't erase someone's mind, when they can't control the way they perceive history, they manipulate them, they try to control them in a different way. So because of that line, and then nothing was done with that line, right? Like that line was laid there, it was given to us, and then we just like didn't elaborate. And then shortly thereafter, we have the Ackerman line, bloodline, are the sword and shield of the Rice family. And also they're immune to this mental manipulation. So now I wonder if the Rice family, maybe there's more to what this Titan being, deity thing can do. Can it also alter bloodlines? Is it possible that the Rice family altered the Ackerman bloodline and that was the way they control? They can't control their minds, so they controlled their blood and gave them this ability, and that's how they made them into protectors for the Rice family instead of opposition for the Rice family. They still ended up being opposition, and they rebelled, and they didn't accept the ideologies of the first king, and so they still split, and then they were persecuted. That's the way I'm interpreting that line of we found a different way to control them. And then like, ta-da, they have a special bloodline. That's the way I'm interpreting that, or not really interpreting, that's the guess I'm making about how that all connects. I really hope it's something like that, because I've read other series where I didn't like this bloodline is special and they have these special abilities, and then you wait forever and then you find out and it's like, cuz. Like the answer is cuz. Anyway, I really hope that there's a good reason for this. Kenny Ackerman told me he had a moment like that too. Okay, so yeah, so it's and I had a moment like that too. So they've all been unlocked into their super special powers. Kenny's a character that I've really, really been enjoying too. Oh, right. And then there was also this ambush that happened within the caves as well, which was an awesome scene, amazing scene. Oh my goodness. We really got to see. We got to see a lot of our cadets standing out and protecting, which was much needed in this very like philosophical and lore dense section. We got like a break of some killer action. I have loved Kenny in this section as well. And let's see, I loved the role he played here, where he learned about as much about the history as he could, accepted it, was fine with it, and then said that he was going to go along with it because things would be more fun that way. And then the shading changes on his face and his expression changes slightly, and it's like his perspective has changed now. This is not fun. This is not good. I hate this. There is no hope for me to be able to take on this power. There is no, like, what he went into this is not what he got out of it. I also loved that he like confronted Rod and he was trying to show Historia. He's just manipulating you. He does not care about you. He is not after your well-being. Calls him out, shoves a knife down the guy's throat, and he's like, you just want to be the center of the universe. You're just trying to take care of yourself. You're trying to put everybody else in these positions. And do you know how much we lost in those 5 years? How many precious lives? And then he finally just says, all right, fine. You know what? I'm not just going to leave. I'm not just going to let this be. So you go ahead and turn into a Titan. I won't get in your way, but I'm gonna make this a fair fight. And then he cuts Aaron's forehead so that Aaron can transform. So I love this for Kenny, for his character, that he sought all these things, he found out that none of it was going to be, he calls Rod out for what he's been doing, and then he makes the fight fair. He's like, I'm not gonna let you just continue to use your power to continue this cycle. We're gonna let this be a fair fight. And then he backs off. And that gives Aaron the opportunity to exert his free will and to actually participate, play a role. He's no longer just subjected to this role of being chained up and then being eaten. It's not all in Historia's hands. Both Historia and Aaron were pressured to turn Titan and to fight as a bid for power. And both of them cast that aside. Historia threw the needle to the side, and Aaron refused to transform. They both refused to transform in their own way. And Aaron said, okay, this is all my dad's fault. Like, he believed Rod's words. He's like, because my father stole the power of the Titans from its rightful place, so many people died. Historia, eat me and save humanity. It's up to you now. I think that was a really good moment for Aaron, as far as like the humility of him to realize it's possible that me having this power and me being like the main show of everyone relying on me, it's possible that that's not what's best for everyone. It's possible that giving this all to someone else is what's actually going to be best for humanity. So let me step aside. Let me allow this to happen to me so that you can take control. Now, I don't know if Aaron did that as like I'm ready to give up, so here, you take on the mantle, please take all this pressure off of me. I don't know if it was like from that place or if it was from a place of finally humbling himself and letting and like stepping aside if that's what's best for people. Either way, I think it was a really powerful scene for him, and I'm sure we're going to explore on what's going on with him mentally in the upcoming chapters. So yeah, then Krista had her amazing scene of finally standing up to her father, not trying to please him anymore, and instead just being furious. Like, she's just so angry in this scene as she's ripping the chains off of him. In fact, I think humanity is the problem. We should just let the Titans destroy mankind. I don't think she's going into a villain arc. I think that was probably just like, I don't blame her right now, just kind of like having a little bit of emotions, just letting it all out. But I absolutely love that scene for her. I love the decisions she made. I love her standing up for herself and saying, I'm choosing my fate. I'm not going to continue this cycle. I'm not going to fall into line. I'm choosing my fate and the decisions that I make and the way I contribute to humanity, or just like let it all die and burn. I don't think she will. Anyway, so I guess the reason, okay, I have many feelings. So Rod Rice then is on the ground with the broken vial of Titan serum or whatever and licks it and then turns Titan. My first reaction to this is, what? We can just drink it? Why in the world are we holding children down and injecting them while they fight us? Just hide it in a drink. Hide it in food. What are we doing? I said that on my Discord, where I like talk through everything as I'm reading and watching. And someone mentioned that he might have bit his tongue in that scene. And when I reread the scene, I don't think he did bite his tongue, but I assume what happened is when Kenny shoved the knife down his throat, he was bleeding a ton. So I guess that's why it got into his bloodline, is from the cuts there. And then Kenny says, you really screwed the pooch this time. I finally see you didn't know any more about the Titans than the rest of us. So I don't know what to do with that line just yet. I guess that's probably in response to Rod saying, I can't become a Titan. I'm not being selfish. I'm not being cowardly. I super duper can't become a Titan. Trust me, bro. And Kenny was like, oh, okay. And then he became a Titan. And so then Kenny's like, you liar! I guess that's what that line was about. I absolutely love this scene too, where everybody's just standing around Aaron, looking at him, waiting. And they're like, this is gonna cave in. This is, what can we do? But just like keep moving and hope for the best. And Aaron says, but there's nowhere to run. And Krista says, So you just want to wait here and hold hands until we either get crushed or burned to death because we're the enemies of humanity, which I really, really love that too, because Aaron, he's just like, he's overwhelmed, you know, he's lost. He's just like, what are we gonna do? This is a hopeless situation. And Chris is like, so give up? That's your plan? Give up? And then Levi tells him, I'm sorry for always doing this to you, but Aaron, you have to make a choice. Love that scene for them. Absolutely love that scene for them. Pushing Aaron when he's already on the brink. And I can't blame him. I have feelings about Aaron sometimes, but I can't blame him for all of his angst. I do believe he's earned it in the life situations all around him. But anyway, they do push him to finally make a choice, to keep fighting, to not give up, and to not just say, it's too hard. And then that's the end of the volume. So I'm gonna keep reading. That was a long check-in. What are you gonna do? It's a crazy series. I gotta talk about it. Bye. Hi, it's me again, Murphy from the beginning of the video. Here I am to round out the video. One thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video was that I just appreciate y'all. It has been so fun to read through this series and try to figure it out because it's just so vast. There's so much happening here, and I feel very outside of my I feel outside of my ability to take everything in on the first read, but it is super fun to see y'all's excitement about this series and the fun, how much fun people are having to see someone just like kind of lose their mind over it. So I really appreciate how excited y'all are. It's making this that much more fun. So this final vlog clip, we're going to talk about volume 17 and the beginning of 18. So that's where the this section of the story ended. So volume 17, that's when Aaron bit down on the vial and then was able to create armor, was able to harden and create more of these sort of walls and tunnels and catacombs. This whole section with Rod Rice dragging himself over the ground and how he told Historia when he was trying to get her to take the Titan serum and murder her friend and become the new founding Titan carrier. He told her that this was going to be the strongest Titan that he could get a hold of. And so now this is, like, I guess this is what he was going to turn Historia into, because she broke the vial and then he licked it and then he became the Titan. I guess this is what she was going to turn into as her Titan form, and now it's Rod's form. And that's just like, whoa. But just him just like the destruction and mayhem that he causes in the wake of his movement. It's just like, it's such a crazy scene for just showing how destructive and how terrifying this is, and explaining why we can't just stop him. Like, our only hope here is to kill him, and Krista having to reckon with that. And I also really love this line for Krista, where she is not trying to get the approval of her father. She's not trying to be what other people want her to be. This is her choosing to be her own person. And what she's doing is she's having this hardened assessment of the situation and moving forward. She said, first off, there are a lot of problems with this plan of turning Rod Rice into the progenitor Titan, the founding Titan. You talk about undoing the brainwashing, but the Rice family has apparently tried to do that for decades and failed. And once he gets that power, you won't be able to restrain him if he can alter humanity's memories. We should also assume that there are other factors we can't see from our position. In fact, these circumstances could be the one hope humanity has. The progenitor Titan has been taken away from the people who would use it to propagate their ruinous ideas about peace. That's right. Your father was trying to save humanity from the first king. He stole the progenitor titan from my sister and murdered the Rice family, including the women and children, because that was the only option he had. If you want to save Mikasa, Armin, and all of them, then you have to learn how to control this power. I'm just so proud of Historia in this section of the story. I'm so proud of how far she's come. It just kind of, it seems like for so long she's just been tossed around by this story, by her life, like constantly being told what is expected of her, being unwanted or shoved aside, and she's just trying to be enough for someone. And now we see her assessing the situation, knowing what needs done, and dealing with the situation in front of her, apologizing to Eren for actually considering going through with this just for the sake of pleasing her father, and then realizing what needs done from here. The scene in the anime where Rod Rice stands up and is just spilling out and is disgusting. It's horrifying. And Eren turns Titan and rushes over Armin and goes into action, and you have Levi and Jean and everybody in the air fighting from the air, and Historia fighting to say, like, they need to see me as queen. They need to see me taking care of this. And she comes in and she issues the final blow against her father. She takes this into her own hands, takes this as her responsibility for the people, and then stands before them and says, I'm your real queen. Oh, it was so beautifully played out. It was so incredible. And there are sections of this that I could say would read as cheesy, you know, but because of the way it was done, because of the way it was all built up, because of the character arcs that went alongside these moments, it ended up being so powerful. Just the same, Eren is going through his own kind of character arc here as well. Somewhere along the line, I started to think that I was special. That's why I accepted it as being unavoidable when other soldiers died for my sake. It's the same way with my Titan powers. I hated Titans so much, but I accepted a Titan's body as my own without a second thought. Just realizing that he had this mentality on him this whole time where it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm the chosen one. I'm the one with all these powers. Naturally, since I'm so special, since you need me to survive, then all these things should be happening around me. And he's kind of like trying to beat out of himself this mentality of being so special that the world should bend around him. Anyway, seeing, I already mentioned them taking down Rod Rice, but seeing them, like, the creative ways that they prepare to fight him and to be able to handle his extreme heat, and then what they did in action to finally take him down and rescue all these people, brilliant. I also really loved getting to see Kenny's backstory and see what he's gone through and what kind of shaped him into what he is today, as well as what his philosophy was. His whole life was violence and a bid for power. His whole life was just killing and violence. Violence was all he ever had. He said it himself. And it is really interesting because he says here, looking back now, I don't even think I cared much about my family's grudge. And yet it's the guilt over this family dispute, the persecution that his family has encountered that initially that King Uri led with when he said, of course you hate me. I mean, the legacy between our family, the persecution that we've put on you, of course you hate us, and bowing down and asking him for forgiveness. And that was what really moved Kenny in seeing someone with that much power. You know, Kenny, who all this time has just been trying to exert power and use his incredible strength and ability to just like kill anyone. That's what gave him meaning. That's what gave him purpose. That's what made sense in his mind after everything that he's been through. And then seeing someone that had this godlike power, someone that had all the power in the world, exhibiting compassion, to him, it altered everything for him. It shifted his entire worldview and his entire perspective. And I think that's what really latched that loyalty onto him, where he just needed to be under someone so powerful, but that didn't make sense in his mind and the way they utilized that power. And then I would argue, that it was that display of compassion despite power, that altering of Kenny's understanding of what someone with great power is capable of, that then allowed him to extend compassion on Levi when he went and visited his sister, and Levi was huddled there in the corner near dead, and he couldn't let the kid starve. Didn't want to be his dad. Couldn't give him that much. But what he could give him was compassion. And so he gave him what compassion he was capable of giving. He fed him. He taught him how to grip a knife. He taught him how to survive. He instilled in him the things that he knew how to give the kid, which is resilience and survival and power. And then I would say that it's so interesting to me with Kenny, because Kenny wanted the founding Titan power because he wanted to know if a piece of garbage like him could experience compassion. Everyone who had this Titan ability exhibited this peace and love and gentleness and compassion that was so foreign in the life that he had lived up until meeting them. And he wanted to know if someone as worthless as me could hold compassion like them if I had the power that they had. But what gave Kenny the compassion was just in knowing them, was in just knowing his friend, Uri. And it's him exhibiting that to Levi that turned Levi into who he is, which is someone with incredible drive, resilience, power, strength, and compassion. And it's those characteristics together, not one or the other. You know, it's King Uri's pacifist, loving stance and his friend Kenny's resilience and drive. It's these two things that these two men displayed. Levi is kind of the culmination of being raised by someone who had that drive, but was shaped by the compassion that was displayed to him. Am I making any sense? Is any of this making sense? I just think I was really moved by how Kenny still saw himself in the light of being a serial killer. You know, he was not a good guy. His actions didn't prove himself to be so kind, but he didn't see the change in him that I think was there and gave Levi the second chance that he needed to be in order to be such an essential piece of the world that we're experiencing in them today. Of course, Kenny's speech at the bottom of the tree really showed us a lot of who Kenny was and what he believed, in this idea of everyone being a slave to something, to their ideals, to their passions, to what they're living for. You know, we're all shaped by that thing. And I think you can kind of tie that into the fact that, you know, at the beginning of the series, Eren wanted freedom from the walls. Armin, too, wanted freedom from the walls. Free will is a big theme that I've recently been picking up on, and several people in the comments said, yeah, that's good. You don't second guess that. You're fine to be thinking that free will is a big theme here. But free will, freedom, you know, that seems to be a big factor that a lot of people are kind of working out in this series, like working out what does freedom mean to them. And I think Kenny's speech sort of ties into that as well, of how each character in their own way is displaying what freedom looks like to them, what it means to them, and what kind of freedom it is that they're fighting for. And Kenny, because of his life experiences, asked the question of Uri, and after he died, Frida asked, she displayed the same things that he admired in his best friend. He now saw in his friend's niece. He's asking the question: is it the power that you have that gives you this freedom? Is it because you have so much power that it gives you freedom? And in the end, and in his death, when he's under that tree in his death scene, and he has the ability to take on that power, he has the vial, and he can become Titan and save his own life and have greater power, he passes it up. You've had the energy before this to inject yourself. Why don't you? I wonder. If I don't do it right, I'll probably turn out all messed up like him. There's no way, and then Levi says, there's no way you'd sit around and wait to die. Don't you have a better excuse? And instead of injecting himself with the serum, he passes it on to Levi. He gives the power and the ability to make the choice to the one that he has called his pride and joy. Can't be some kid's dad, but this is what he is able to be to Levi. And it takes a great sacrifice on his part to be even that much to him. And while it's not, everything in the world, it is enough to make Levi into what he is today, which is something pretty amazing. My iPad just died. I'm gonna go get a charger so I can finish looking at panels and finish rambling on to you. I'm back. So Historia, I've talked plenty about her and how much I love her and the growth that she's had in this section. I just also really, really love that panel. I think it's beautiful. Oh yeah, and then this scene, which was it was in both. So there was a manga only scene that I'm sure I talked about in a previous clip, where I maybe even talked about in this clip. My memory is impressively bad, where Levi, she said that she didn't want to take on the mantle of being a queen. She was like, I can't do that. That can't be my role. That can't be me. Which is a very understandable, instinctive first response to finding out that you're a princess. And Levi choked her and said, you gotta make a choice. Like, I'm gonna keep fighting. Whether you do or not, I'm going to keep fighting. But it'd be a whole lot easier if you could fight too. And so he kind of pushes her into this, and then coming back around to her seeing him after she takes on the throne and punching him and saying, now what? I'm your queen. What do you got to say? And he just smiles and says, thanks, all of you. I said this in the review, but I love seeing the Ackermans and the Rice, who the Ackermans are meant to be the sword and shield of the Rice. And they had this closeness in Uri and Kenny, and they had these roles that they were meant to play, and then there was a separation, and now here they are. They're each not following the path set before them. They're each doing what seems right to them, and they're doing it side by side and still fulfilling that Ackerman Rice role, or at least that's what it looks like it's being set up for, and I just really love that. And then Historia using when she gets power, which is what both Kenny and Rod were kind of fighting for. When she gets power, the first thing she does with it is to help the orphans, is to help those that have been treated as if they're unwanted, those who believe that there's not a place for them in the world, to show them kindness and love. And I just love her character so much. They set up this whole trap system where they lure the Titans in and then are able to hit them in the nape of the neck and kill them without having to put the soldiers' lives in danger, which is a killer system. It's something that, at first, when I first saw it, I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of slow. Like, what are you going to do when there's a horde of Titans coming at you? But they are planning on instilling these around the perimeter of the wall, or at least that's how I understood that. So if they have these en masse, then it'll certainly do a lot of damage. And Eren having to do this, having to fill the hole in the wall and build up these contraptions and build up these traps and all these things that they're having Eren do is, again, pushing him to the limit. Once again, him having to use his Titan powers and being pushed in how much he's using them is physically and mentally, it was displayed earlier in this section, harming him. It's not good for him. I just don't think, I think that if Eren continues to push himself and doesn't take the warning signs that he can't do it all, it could cause him to spiral. I feel like that's what's being built up here. I feel like that's what we continue to see, is these mini losing himself and signals that he's pushing himself too far. Now, I'm not faulting him or others for it, because they're in a dire situation and he's the one person that they have that can do these things, so what are you gonna do? But I just see signals. I see signs that do not point to something good. So Levi is in charge of this serum, of the Titan serum. He's in charge of keeping it on him, and should be entrusted with our most talented soldier with the highest chance of survival. He says, you'll be the one to decide who should use it depending on the situation. So what I took from this scene is that when there's going to be a situation that's going to come up where someone is going to be mortally injured, much like Kenny was, they're on death's door, and it's going to be Levi's choice to either give them that serum or not give them that serum. And so, I guess that's going to be a conflict that's going to come up in the series soon-ish. This is Chekhov's gun, right? Like, he now has a gun in his hands, a serum in his hands, that at some point he's going to be expected to utilize or not utilize. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out. Like, who is going to be the one that he uses it on or could use it on and chooses not to use it. And then, like, that's the big, like, whatever it is going to make this gun go off. I don't know yet. But I am very curious on how that all is going to play out. We also got this flash of Bertolt and Rainer. And the Beast Titan, where Bertolt is pulling Rainer out of his form, and the Beast Titan says, I won. You can worry about saving Annie later. So I'm taking that scene to mean that Rainer wanted to go back in behind the walls and save Annie, and he fought the Beast Titan for the right to do that, because the Beast Titan was like, leave her, I don't care, we have other things to worry about right now. And Bertolt fought him because he cares about Annie and he wants to go back. Rainer fought him because they care about Annie and want to go back and rescue her. And he lost, which is why he was laying there, like, totally brutalized on the ground, and Bertolt had to pull him out. And so now they don't have a choice. They have to stay where they are. So, are we going to see more of them? My goodness. I thought part 3, we were going to be going into their hometown, whatever that means. Home village, whatever they called it. I'm, like, ready for more of them. I'm ready for more of them. We've spent so much time apart from them, and that's rude. So, please tell me we're getting more soon. Anyway, that was the end of volume 7. So now let's hop into volume 8, which I do have the physical for this one, thankfully. Okay, right. Oh, right. Okay, so, Dr. Jaeger was found outside of the walls, and he lost his memory. He was found outside of the walls without his memory. He's horrified at the idea that people are fighting, but he doesn't know who the Survey Corps are. He doesn't know why he's there. He can't remember anything about who he is or where he came from. And he doesn't even know why he's outside of the wall. But he does remember his medical knowledge. He knows that he's a doctor and he can help these people. So either he had his mind wiped, or he's one of the people that is living outside of the wall, and he knows how he's a doctor there. He's a doctor to the civilization, to the people like Annie, Bertolt, Rainer, who are living outside of the wall. Because when he entered, he asked, please tell me about this civilization. Please tell me about these people. Now, it's possible that he didn't just have the history of the world wiped from his mind, but just, like, for some reason, everything wiped, except for being a doctor and his name. But there aren't other Jaegers living inside the wall. So I don't know. I feel like he was living outside of the wall, but why did he have his whole mind wiped except for his doctoral knowledge, medical knowledge? Why did I say that? Anyway, we got a ton of insight from Keith's backstory, as well as I feel like just a lot more of, I think Keith represents a lot more of what has already been discussed a lot throughout the duration of this story, as far as how you see yourself and what you're fighting for, what you're living for, what freedom looks like to you. You know, a lot of the series, I think Keith also kind of reflects a lot of what the series is doing. And then we have the scene where Aaron wakes up and he says a Titan ate her, which of course just absolutely kills Keith as well. He asked, isn't that child different too? What if he's not one of the chosen? Are you going to curse yet another person? What are you going to do? What if he doesn't turn out to be the person you expect him to be? And Dr. Jaeger said, this child isn't like you. He's my son. Please, I beg you, don't get involved. And then we see, once again, the aftermath of when Aaron wakes up and his father is dead. So Keith was actually the one that brought Aaron back after all that happened. So this soldier, this trainer, this instructor, who I paid very little mind to, I remember him like having really empty eyes while he was training them. And I remember him giving special, let's see, how did it go? With the cadet training, because I remember fixating on this when I was trying to figure out who was the female Titan back in season 1. I remember him really hounding on certain cadets that he felt needed to be pushed and needed to be trained harder, and then other cadets like Annie, he just kind of passed by and didn't push her and didn't make her do certain things. Because I guess because of her life experience, because he knew that she had already been through so much, and so like she was already hardened and resolved. I'm gonna have to think on that more. Why did he? Maybe I might need to reread that scene. Now that Keith is more important and he's been delivering some really essential information and reflecting back certain themes of the series, I kind of feel like I'm gonna go back and reread that scene. Anyway, Carla, not Clara, Carla's message to Keith when he's talking about being special. Do you really have to be special? Do you really need people's recognition? I don't think so. At the very least, not when it comes to this child. He doesn't need to become great. Why would he have to be better than everyone else? He's already great because he was born into this world. Ugh! Man, I really didn't expect a character. She's always just been, you know, that character that got killed off at the beginning of the series to kind of launch everything into motion. But no, actually, she's a character I love very, very much and just speaks to me. So they're going for the basement, they're partying and celebrating. Levi tries to make Erwin stay behind because he's moving slower now that he's short one limb, and he's trying to force him to stay behind, and Erwin's like, no, absolutely not. It's not gonna happen. This is, I'm gonna be with you. I have to be there at the moment we learn the truth about this world. It's that important to you, more than your legs? Yes. More than humanity's victory? Yes. Fine. I'll trust your judgment. So he's going out into the battlefield with them. Oh no. And then we have feasting, we have fighting, we have Aaron and Jean still just back at their old antics. More emphasis on great power comes from joining ourselves together, and the three of them sitting outside together with Levi listening on in the background, or around the wall. When we retake Wall Maria, this is Mikasa talking, and defeat all our enemies, can we go back to those days? And Aaron says, we'll bring them back. Still, some things are gone forever, and they'll have to pay for that. And Armin still wants to go out and visit the sea. So it is really interesting the way that this has been drawn, and granted, while that was the ending of that section of the anime, this is the middle of the volume, so this isn't the end of that thought. But it is interesting how they've been drawn with Levi just sitting on the outside listening to them talk about the future that they're going to have and what they're going to visit, what they're going to see. But that is the end of that chapter, them being sent off by everyone, being cheered on, and them celebrating in return, and it's this big really fantastic scene of them getting ready to go off and retake Wall Maria and charging into action, and Bertolt and Reiner sitting on the wall, I guess waiting for them, which is interesting because they lost the battle with the Beast Titan, yet here they sit with their tents on the wall. So if they can't go back for Annie, what have they gone back for? Probably to fight. So, it was an excellent section. It was a section that was, I think I've already said this in this vlog and in the other video, it was a section that wasn't as like loud as the previous sections, but it was one that was really deep, furthering a lot of pieces of this story as far as lore, as far as world, as far as answering questions and expanding on more questions that we need to be asking, but also as far as exploring themes and introducing new ones. So really fantastic section. I'm gonna end this video now because Whew. I would love to chat with you more about it though, so please do let me know what you think of this section. No spoilers, please. I'm very, very, very excited to see what we have next. So I will see you again soon. Bye.